Boom! Today we have the return of the white belt king, Coty, going up against the basalts king, Ben. Coty's preparing for his MMA fight, and who better to go against than the basalts king himself? You know Ben must be extremely tough because there's no other reason he'd be rocking a haircut where he has absolutely no sideburns. Coty is quickly grabbing the inside ties and he's using this so he can snap Ben down to the mat. And in record time, probably the shortest ever caught on video, Ben has already had his back taken. But the big difference here is that he didn't have a say in the matter. Coty took it from him forcefully. If you've wondered how to control a man from their backside because you've never gone to jail, Coty's going to give you a lesson on how to do that. He's a well-accomplished wrestler, so he's going to give Ben everything he can ask for from this turtle position. Step 1 is to control the wrist. Ben rolls his wrist out, but this gave Coty an opportunity to start setting up the bulldog choke. Ben was quick to react by rolling to his back so he could escape, but this allowed Coty to flatten Ben's hips out. If Ben can't get up to his knees, he won't be able to escape the back, whether it's through wrestling or rolling to guard. Since Ben had to focus on his hips, this allowed Coty to bring his right leg in and he can start pulling the foot out. Then he continues this control by breaking his base down once again and re-establishing that wrist control with his left arm. Ben next shows off his proud blue belt techniques as he goes to grab the head, but it proved to be inefficient as Coty is still manhandling him. Now Ben is grunting and trying to return to his back, but Coty doesn't want to see what his dangerous guard looks like, so he stays on his own back and continues to wrestle him, controlling the wrist and controlling the ankles. When all else fails, Ben attempts to do a somersault to escape this terrible position, but that's not the way out of turtle, especially if they're going to just follow you with their hooks. Coty looks to establish a head and arm choke on Ben, but Ben continues to roll against him, and then he brings his knees in just enough that he won't get choked, but he will be placed in side control. Now Coty's doing an excellent job of showing all of us that even if you don't have a ton of jiu-jitsu experience, wrestling goes a really long ways. He's constantly attacking the head of Ben with his far side half Nelson and keeping him flat on the mat. Having the technique to be able to pin somebody down and hold them in that position goes a long ways in jiu-jitsu as well, because then they won't be able to shrimp or set up any submissions on you. He's looking towards the crucifix, but then Ben is able to roll his way out, and unfortunately he makes a huge mistake of standing without fighting the hands. Some guys you can make this mistake against and it won't be a huge issue, but when you're going up against the bully, you don't want to get lifted and slammed back down to the mat, as it's not going to be a good time. And while that certainly did look painful, it only takes a few seconds of looking at Ben's face for him to get re-engaged in the fight as he enters full rage mode. Unfortunately for Ben, however, Coty has enough kids that he's basically Genghis Khan, so he's used to dealing with rage issues, and this isn't going to be a problem for him to keep control over Ben. And while Genghis Khan continues to set up his dynasty, I'm going to give you a quick channel update. I'm planning on adding videos called the Basalts Breakdown, where I'm going to be doing reactionary content, and I'm going to be using co-hosts. I'm going to start off with Ben, and depending on how it goes, I'm going to keep adding new guests such as Brock and other people you've seen on the channel. So if you have any funny reels, TikTok, shorts, etc., or something I should react to, feel free to send it my way. You can always reach me at Instagram, make sure to give me a follow, and you may even be featured on the Basalts Breakdown. Now returning to the role, a lot of times videos have been based on Ben, but this is showing just how good Coty is. To be able to neutralize a wily opponent like Ben is the complete point of doing jiu-jitsu. Even though Coty is only a white belt, he clearly has a lot more grappling experience than most people at this level. He's doing a great job continuing to control Ben's wrist and forcing him into bad positions. Now the escape for Ben is to continuously roll his wrist out, but it's not nearly as easy when they constantly bring it towards your ribs. He also has to continue re-establishing his base. Every time that Coty breaks down his hips and he can't stay on his knees, it's going to be that much harder to try and escape your wrist from your own ribs, and he's going to continue his onslaught. I would like to see Coty go for more submissions, but it's always better to have control before setting anything up. He's even moving on to putting both wrists behind Ben's back, so maybe if MMA fighting doesn't work out for him, he can always be a cop with that technique. Ben is doing the right thing, always trying to bring his arms in so he can establish stronger frames, but there's too much of a skill difference between the two of them. Coty is clearly the better grappler here, and he's showing Ben what he can do to him, even if he can't hit him with any submissions. He's placed himself in the mount and he's continuing to look for attacks, but Ben is just wily enough that he can return to his stomach, and now Coty has to look at controlling again. If you need a good way to control somebody, always be chopping at their elbows. Ben continues to try and stand without hand fighting, so Coty's working the elbows and he drags him back down to the mat, always towards the side where he's removed the post. Then he can recapture the wrist and continue to control him from the top. Now a submission I think that would really help Coty out is the bulldog choke. He already has great wrist control, so it wouldn't take too much effort for his right hand to come out, go over the neck, continue to control the wrist, and then force a choke. Add in the hip switch and I think it'd be a guaranteed submission. I hope he works on that in his future because he definitely could have had it a few times in this role. And the clear thing that Ben needs to work on from his side is he needs to work on hand fighting. It's not easy to hand fight when you're on bottom and they're behind you, but it's still the number one thing you have to do to escape these bad positions. Coty looks to set up a rear naked choke right at the end, and Ben is turning, but I bet you if the clock would have had a little bit more time, he would have finished that submission. If you appreciate the video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Be on the lookout for my new videos, and remember, if you follow me on Instagram and you have good things to send me, they may be featured on the Basalts Breakdown. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate all my current viewers and patrons. But before you go, if you want to look extremely stylish doing jiu-jitsu or other sports, make sure to check out xmartial.com from my link in the description below, so you can get awesome gear like I have, and you can use promotion code Tyler10 to save extra money.